for our trip this afternoon to the Tower of London and then on to Greenwich. Now just a quick safety announcement. As we leave the boat, we have to give these safety announcements out as a matter of maritime law, but this vessel is registered with the Maritime Coast Guard Agency. It's also registered with the Port of London Authority. In the unlikely event of an emergency, please remain seated and await instruction by a member of the crew. The safety announcements, I said, I'm not meant to alarm you. We have to give these out as a matter of maritime law. But if you are a bit concerned about the safety announcement, well, the bar is open downstairs and it is 5 o'clock somewhere. Okay. Now we've got two options here now this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The first option is that the company that we work for, the company that own this boat, they provide a QR code on the leaflet that you are given as you come aboard the boat. You can download this QR code and an app and get a commentary from here to the Tower and then on to Greenwich to download it on your phone. By the time we get to the Tower of London, it should just be coming through on your phone by then. Or the second option is that one of the crew, not a paid guy, but a crew member, can give you a commentary, pass some of their local knowledge over onto you, make the journey a bit more interesting, hopefully make you laugh a little bit, make it a bit more enjoyable. We can do it that way. Not a paid guy, but just one of the crew, or the QR code with the computerised commentary. Now, what would you prefer, ladies and gentlemen? Do you want the crew member, or would you want the mechanical commentary? Crew. Okay. All right. Well, if you enjoy the commentary this afternoon here, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul. Okay. And if you don't enjoy the commentary, my name is Mick. Mick, there we are. Look. Brad Pitt in there. Okay, we're going to turn around now, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going out towards the sea. We're travelling towards the sea, and we are travelling with the last of the outgoing tide. I'll explain more about the river and the tide and everything else a bit later in the journey. Okay, we're going to start to turn the boat round now and head out. Well, as we start to turn the boat round here on the right hand side is of course the Houses of Parliament. And at this end of the House of Parliament, the famous clock tower known as Big Ben. Big Ben is only the bell that chimes the hours. The real name for the clock tower is the Queen Elizabeth II Tower. It was opened in 1848, took 52 years to build. And later on, if you get a chance to have a look at the stonework of the building, just below the first floor main windows, there's a line that runs around the building. Look carefully in that line, you'll see that there's writing continually around the building. We've turned round now, we're heading downriver towards the sea, which is about 80 miles downriver from here. On the right hand side here, County Hall, London's major town hall or city hall up until the 1980s. No longer used as a government building. It's now used in the tourist industry as the London Dungeons, an aquarium in there, Shrink's Adventure, restaurants, apartments and a hotel. No longer used as the town hall. The town hall of London is now in the East End, a place called Canning Town. The London Eye here on the right hand side has 32 capsules, was the tallest Ferris wheel in the world when it opened in the year 2000. Now it's only number 4. There's 4 more Ferris wheels that are bigger than this one, 2 in America and 2 in Asia. There are 32 pods. Each pod is named after a London borough. There are 32 London boroughs. On the left-hand side, the white column with the golden eagle on the top is a war memorial to the men and women of the Royal Air Force who lost their lives in the First and Second World War. The golden eagle weighs 2.5 tons It's made from captured enemy artillery from the First World War. The eagle looks towards France, where many of the airmen fell from the skies. Also on the left-hand side, the grey ship there with the blue funnel, the Tattersall Castle, was a car ferry from the River Humber in Yorkshire. It's permanently moored there now and is a floating pub. It's been here for 15 years. When it first opened, the first 2 years of its life, it was a floating art gallery, but it wasn't very successful, so they turned it into a pub. 1 week, in fact, of being a pub made more money than 2 years as an art gallery. The building on the left-hand side there with the flat spires, this is Whitehall Court Mansions, and this is a group of luxury apartments, a Horse Guards Hotel, and some of London's famous gentlemen's military drinking clubs. Sort of clubs that get featured in Bond movies and spy movies, that sort of thing. They're all in that building there. The small construction site there on the left in the river is part of the Tideway Tunnel, the sewer upgrade in London. This is Charing Cross Railway Bridge. That's Charing Cross Station up there on the left-hand side, that big building. The architect who designed that building said it's a train leaving the tunnel. Did you see that? He must have been smoking something serious if that's what he thought it was. As you pass under the Charing Cross Railway Bridge, on the right-hand side here, the Royal Festival Hall, open for the 1951 Festival of Great Britain. The building is completely soundproof because of the noise from the trains that run across the bridge. One of the finest concert halls in the world for its acoustics. And many famous people have performed in the Royal Festival Hall, including the likes of Pavarotti, Frank Sinatra, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Jimi Hendrix, Bob Marley, Amy Winehouse, David Bowie, and the list goes on and on. Whoever you like to think of them probably performed here. On the left-hand side, on the embankment wall, Cleopatra's Needle, given to this country as a goodwill gift following Nelson's victory over Napoleon, the Battle of the River Nile. The needle is over 3,000 years old and is one of a pair. Its twin stands in Central Park, New York. The two sphinxes that guard the needle are facing the wrong way. They should face outwards to guard the needle. And when the builders realised the mistake, they didn't have it in the budget to turn them round, so they left them like that to bring that one way ever since. The building on the left with the green sparked dark roof and the single flag star in the middle, the famous Savoy Hotel. The main entrance of the Savoy is in the Strand, and the entrance roadway in and out of the Strand, in and out of the Savoy Hotel is the only road in this country that we drive on the right-hand side. Waterloo Bridge opened in 1945. The bridge was built by women, as most of the men were away in the Second World War. The only bridge on the Thames to be built on time and under budget. The building on the left-hand side with a small green dome in the centre is Somerset House. This was a palace for the Duke of Somerset. Unfortunately, the Duke of Somerset never got to live in the building. He was executed in the Tower of London before the building was finished. The building is a King's College, and also in the summer months is an open-air cinema. It's open to the public every day. Further along again on the left, you see this old black and white ship looking a bit sorry for itself, looks a bit forgotten there. That's called the St. Catherine, and that was the royal barge. Whenever any member of the royal family would travel on the River Thames, that's the boat that they used to use. No longer used as a royal barge, as you can see, looks a bit scruffy and a bit sorry for itself there. But actually, it does still go out occasionally. They give that boat to Harry when he comes over and they say, yeah, you can use that one. On the left there, the white ship, the Wellington, a club for master mariners and retired sea captains. Now, on the embankment behind the Wellington, you see the stone archway? That's the Temple Gate. That's the boundary that separates the city of Westminster. We're leaving the city of London we're about to enter. And as we enter the city of London there on the left-hand side, we enter one of the smallest cities in the world. The city of London is just 1 square mile. It's surrounded by Westminster and the suburbs of London, but the actual city of London is 1 square mile. On the embankment there on the left, you see the lions with the rings in their mouths. The tide was touching those rings about 5 hours ago. The tide comes in for 5 hours and goes out for 7 hours. And from low tide to high tide is a difference of 7.4 metres or 27 feet. And this happens twice a day. You see the chains below the lion's rings there? You see the chains hanging on the wall and on this construction site here as well. Now the reason for these chains is that because the River Thames is such a fast flowing river, if you are unlucky enough to fall in, you would be swept away. The chains are there so that you can hang on to something to await the rescue. That's what they're for. And no matter where you look, you'll see them everywhere. Now that you've noticed them, you'll see them everywhere you look. Now all the way up and all the way down the buildings because of the different heights of the tides. The building on the left there, the sloping roof with the brown spire, is the City of London School for Boys. Many of this country's leading statesmen were educated in that school, including Lord Asquith and Sir Winston Churchill. Both became Prime Ministers of this country. This is Blackfriars Bridge, opened by Queen Victoria in 1869. The supports of the bridge. Here on the right-hand side, a closer look at the channels coming on the wall. The red painted columns are all that remain from the St Paul's Railway Bridge, and the last bridge in this group is the Blackfriars Railway Bridge. As you pass under the Blackfriars Railway Bridge, ahead of us on the left-hand side is St Paul's Cathedral. The second St Paul's Cathedral to stand on that site. The first was made of wood and burned down in the fire of London, 1666. The St Paul's Cathedral you see here today was designed by Sir Christopher Wren. Took 35 years to build and opened in 1710. The brown building in front of St Paul's Cathedral on the riverfront, this is the new premises for the prestigious City of London School for Boys. On the right hand side, the building with the tall chimney is the old Bankside Power Station. It's no longer used as a power station. The building has been converted into the Tate Modern Art Gallery. Now you can go into the Tate Modern Art Gallery there on the right hand side completely free of charge. You can go in there completely free. Now go in there, have a walk round, have a look at some of this modern art, and you'll understand why it's free to get in. This is the Millennium Footbridge. Now as you pass under the Millennium Footbridge, look ahead of us on the right hand side, you see the circular white building with the thatch roof. That is an exact copy, a replica of William Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. It's an exact copy of the original Globe Theatre. It's made of wood, it's open air, there's no electricity in the building. If you were to go and watch a play in there, it would be performed exactly how a play would have been performed over 400 years ago. Except for one thing, of course, and that is that now women's parts in those plays are played by women. In Shakespearean times, women's parts would have been played by men because it was immoral for women to work in the theatre. Also, from that Globe Theatre, you get the word box office. You know, if you go to the cinema or go and see a show, you buy tickets at a box office. That word comes from that building. A small wooden box would be passed around the audience to collect the entry fee. And once the entry fee had been collected, that small wooden box would be locked into a room. That room became known as the box office. Factory, it's his name. This is Southwark Bridge ahead of us here, opened in 1922. Now as you pass through Southwark Bridge, look ahead of us on the right hand side. In the corner of the bridge ahead of us, you'll see there a brown building with red window frames. This is the Anchor Tavern, a famous and very popular riverside pub. You see already, look, this chocolate block, people there busy already at that pub, the Anchor on Bankside. In fact, that pub will get even busier tonight. Us crews who work on these boats, we visit that pub every night. We go in there and we research these commentaries that we give you. To make sure that everything we say is all true and correct, we'll go and sit in that pub and do the research. We go in there every night just to make sure. Till closing time sometimes. This is the Cannon Street Railway Bridge. As you pass under the bridge on the right hand side, you see the grey painted Winchester walls. Behind that building is a small prison. It is called the Clink. It's an old debtors prison. It's in Clink Street. If you were in debt, you were thrown in there and you never came out. And it's where the old English saying of being thrown in the clink comes from the Clink prison. Also there on the right hand side, a replica of Sir Francis Drake's Golden Hind, the vessel he circumnavigated the world. Again on the right hand side, in the gap in the buildings where you see the trees, coming into view shortly is the Southwark Cathedral. Opened in 1275. In the Southwark Cathedral is the Harvard Chapel. It's named after John Harvard. He was baptised in that cathedral. John Harvard emigrated to America and founded the Harvard University in Massachusetts.
Okay.
London Bridge ahead of us here, opened in 1973 by the Queen. The fourth London Bridge to stand here. The London Bridge that stood here before this one, it now spans Lake Havasu in Arizona in the United States. More than £1 million, taken down stone by stone, took to the Arizona Desert with a tourist attraction. On the left-hand side in the gap, the white column with a golden ball of flame coming into view there, look, the monument to the fire of London of 1666. Designed by Sir Christopher Wren, 202 feet tall, the exact distance from the base to the baker shop fully made when a fire started. The Shard of Glass on our right hand side, the tallest building in Western Europe. The building comprises of offices, apartments, the Shangri-La Hotel and the viewing gallery. Just recently, will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas, he bought the penthouse apartment in the Shard of Glass for £38 million. The viewing gallery at the top is £30 each to go up there. On the left hand side, the tall building with the green glass dome at the top, the people standing on the balconies. You see them right up the top there? That's the Sky Garden, that's number 20 Fenchurch Street. You can go up there free of charge. Book online, skygarden.com, book a time and go up there for nothing. What's it going to be? Free or 30 quid? On the left hand side, the building behind the trees, Watergate House. The headquarters for His Majesty's Customs and Excise. Now if you're arrested trying to smuggle too much drugs or too much alcohol into the country and it's seized, that's the building there on the left hand side where it's all stored. They're supposed to incinerate the drugs and alcohol every year, but we've never seen any smoke come from that building. And they say that the staff Christmas parties in there go on to about April. Two warships here on the right hand side. This first one, the Proteus, belongs to the RFA, the Royal Fleet Auxiliary, which is part of the Royal Navy backup. It is, I've done some research into this in the pub earlier. Oh, the players commentary going by the way, those seven, alright? Yeah, right. I've done some commentary into this this ship. It is a seabed warfare ship, whatever that is. I'll work that one out for yourself. The ship that's alongside is the HMS Belfast, the largest cruiser from the Second World War. Saw action on the beaches of Normandy or D-Day, and last fired its guns in the Korean War in 1951. Belongs to the Imperial Museum. That's Tower Pier there on the left-hand side, ladies and gentlemen. That's our first stop on our way downriver this afternoon. But just before we call into Tower Pier, we're going to just take you past a short distance to show you a couple of more places and items of interest. On the left-hand side there, in amongst the trees there on the left, the Tower of London. Started during the reign of William the Conqueror in 1078. The oldest part of the Tower of London is the square tower in the centre with a white flag mast. That's the White Tower on Norman Keep, over 900 years old. There are 23 towers that surround the White Tower, and each part was added to by different kings and queens. And in its time, the Tower of London has been a palace, a fortress and a prison, and it now of course houses and guards the famous Crown Jewels. On the River Wall is the entry to the Traitors' Gate. The reason the entrance has been bricked up is to stop the River Thames from flooding the boat around the outside of the town. When it was opened many years ago, if you were found guilty of treason at the Palace of Westminster, you would be brought down here in a boat. You would be taken through that archway onto Tower Hill the following morning when your head was chopped off. Your head was stuck on a spike and placed on the old London Bridge to deter would-be traitors. As many as 30 heads were displayed on London Bridge in just one day. Tower Bridge here on the right-hand side. As we start to sweep the boat around, if you can get a bus going across, I can't see it in a moment, there's never a bus when you want one, is there? If you can see a bus coming across the bridge, here we go, there's a bus coming now. Try and get that in the middle of the bridge. That's £5 in a tourist shop with a postcard, that picture with a red bus right in the middle. Free of charge here this afternoon, especially for you ladies and gentlemen. Now try and get the bus right in the middle if you can. The lower span of the bridge opens up to let ships like the Proteus at Belfast, and opens up to let ships to come through. They're called seesaws, bascules, the lower span of the bridge. And there's only one day in the year, and one day only, that this bridge is not allowed to open to ships. Do we know what day that would be? What day is this ship not allowed to open to come through, and ships to come through? Christmas Day. Any advances on Christmas Day? Huh? King's birthday. Any more? No. The London Marathon. The only day it's not allowed to open. 50,000 people are running across the bridge and it starts to open. That'd make it interesting, wouldn't it? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going into Tower Pier. This is our first stop. Please remain seated while we go alongside the pier. Everybody sit down. We don't want anyone falling over in case we bump alongside. So please make yourself seated and make yourself comfortable while we go alongside the pier. Passengers for the tower, this will be your